I'm worried that Trump is on the edge of creating a civil war. He alluded to it more than once. He alluded to the fact that if he did not get reelected, that there could be a civil war. What does Trump expect? Oh, I believe he expects violence. I believe he expects confrontation. I believe he's working toward a civil war. We're not going to get goaded.
But first, gang, did you know scammers can literally steal your home right out from under you? Yeah, it's true. The FBI actually calls it house stealing, and it's a growing real estate scam targeting American homeowners. Basically, criminals forge your signature on one document, use a fake notary stamp, pay a small fee, and file it with your local recorder's office. And just like that, your home title has been transferred out of your name. Then they can take out loans using your equity as collateral or even sell the property behind your back, and you won't even know it's happening until you start getting collection or foreclosure notices. So let me ask you, when was the last time you checked your home title? Well, if you're like me, the answer is never. And that's exactly what scammers are counting on. That's why I trust Home Title Lock. Their $1 million triple lock protection helps keep your home and equity safe. Here's what you get. You get immediate 24/7 monitoring of your property. You get urgent alerts if there are any changes. And if fraud should happen, their U.S.-based restoration team will spend up to $1 million to fix the fraud and restore your title at no additional cost. And here's the best part. I've teamed up with Home Title Lock to give you a free title history report so you can find out if you've already been a victim and access to your personal title expert. That's a $250 value just for signing up. So go to HometitleLock.com and use my promo code Turley250. That's Turley250, or click on the link in the description below. That's HometitleLock.com, promo code Turley250 to get the protection and peace of mind you deserve. That's, of course, Maxine Waters, Mad Max, Congress's resident borderline illiterate, who at the same time is setting a new standard for cringeworthy wigs. I don't know what the deal is with that. She's claiming that Trump is the one who's trying to incite a civil war. Now, keep in mind, while she's given that press conference, this is what's happening over at Trump Tower in New York City. Well, that's, of course, pro-Palestinian radicals protesting the deportation of Mahmoud Khalil, a 30-year-old far-left activist from Syria who was leading protests that ended up shutting down Columbia University. He's about to get deported. Now, there are two fascinating interrelated dynamics that are operative here that'll help us understand the connection between Mad Max Waters and the frenzied hysteria of these protesters. If you ever wondered why it always seems to be the left that's protesting, I think this is going to help you make sense of it. First and foremost, you know what Maxine Waters is doing there when she accuses Trump of trying to incite a civil war. I mean, think about the absurdity of that, the ironic absurdity. You know what that's called, right? We talk about it a lot on this channel. It's called projection. That's Maxine Waters projecting onto Trump what she herself is trying to incite, as proven by what her fellow far-left lunatics were doing in Trump Tower. Now, projection is a key tactic of the left. You might want to just kind of take some notes on this. You might want to go back and revisit this portion of the video because I think it's going to help you in some of your conversations with your more left-wing friends, family, and so forth. Projection is a key tactic of the left. Olavo de Carvalho, God rest his soul, the late great Brazilian political philosopher who spent his life studying Marxists. He noted, I actually had the honor of interviewing him. He noted that projection is a key tactic of the left. So if you've noticed yourself sort of scratching your head, wondering how leftists always seem to accuse others of the very sins they commit, well, there you go. Part of being initiated into leftist activism is learning how to rhetorically project. And the twisted genius of projection is that it allows the accuser, the projector, to admit the crime without admitting to the crime. Write that down, because that's key to getting why the radical left always uses projection. It allows them to admit the crime without admitting to the crime. So the accuser openly admits that there are all these terrible things that are happening: violence, hysteria, civil unrest, vandalism, discord, and the like. All these things are indeed happening to our nation. Yes, you can believe your own eyes. Projection allows them to admit that. But at the same time, that projection deliberately deflects attention away from the accuser, who happens to be the one perpetuating all these crimes. So everyone sees the murdered body lying on the floor, as it were. And what the projector does is they admit the murder happened, but don't admit to the murder, even though, in point of fact, the projector is the one who committed it. The projector is the murderer. And of course, instead, what they do is they try to pit the murder that they committed onto someone else. So it's projection is admitting the crime without admitting to the crime. Projection is a blatant attempt to get away with murder, or in this case, civil violence, civil unrest. Projection enables Democrats to admit that our democracy and our Constitution are indeed being torn to shreds, but without admitting to it, that they're the ones doing it. And Mad Max is a master of that pernicious deception of projection. But the key to the deception is that projection is also a key characteristic of what we call psychopaths. Now, again, this is exactly what Olavo de Carvalho concluded. Left-wingers are fundamentally psychopaths, at least their leaders are. And psychopaths commonly use projection as a deliberate way to manipulate and deceive others. And when psychopaths like Mad Max and Chuck Schumer and AOC command a sizable following, like their left-wing constituency, that following ends up becoming completely hysterical. They're intentionally whipped up into a delirious frenzy. And that's the second dynamic that we're seeing here, this sort of interrelated dynamic that we're seeing operative. There is an inextricable link between the psychopathic projection of a Maxine Waters and the frenzied hysteria that we see whipped up among these far-left protesters. That frenzy, that mass hysteria, is precisely what happens when populations are led by psychopaths. We saw it in the Soviet Union. We saw it in Eastern Europe. And I would argue that this is precisely what's behind TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. A lot of people don't understand TDS. But I think the key to understanding TDS is that it is precisely the kind of mass hysteria that is provoked, that is intentionally whipped up by the manipulating deceptions of unhinged psychopaths like Mad Max. And so all of this is to say the Democrats are completely lost at this point. They are wandering in the wilderness, and they are literally tearing out their own hair and cutting themselves like the Baal priests of old. If you think it through, I mean, they're completely leaderless. They're completely devoid of any substantive issues that resonate with the vast majority of the country. They've lost the effectiveness of their publicity wing of the legacy media, so they can't get the message out, even though the message doesn't resonate with anyone if it did get out. And on top of all that, they're hemorrhaging membership. That's another key sign that the Democrats are dying. The Republicans are crushing them in voter registrations literally everywhere. We're talking Jersey, we're talking New York, we're talking Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, you name it. Everywhere you look, Republicans are winning the voter registration war. These are all the signs of a dying social movement: the loss of membership, the loss of leadership, the loss of publicity, the loss of any compelling issues. These are all the signs, the characteristic indicators of a dying social movement. The Democrats are in total disarray. No wonder that totally disillusioned MSNBC anchors are taking some time off. By the way, click on the link in the description below to get all these articles and tweets I reference throughout my videos emailed to you each and every day. You're going to love it. We want you to have the best resources out there to convince your family and your friends of this new MAGA super age that's rising here.